Welcome back, everybody. And thank you to Sam for an amazing presentation. Sam is one of my favorite people. And I always say that if I had a daughter, I would love it to be Sam. So, um, wonderful, wonderful person to work with. My name is Kelie Cichoski, and I created Transform and Rise. And I'm going to start off with a couple of exercises. So, if everybody would kind of get comfortable in your seat, the first one's just a little short exercise. I want to help you experience connecting with your angels, guides, divine connection, whatever you want to call it. They're all the same, they're all higher dimensional. So, I want you to get comfortable in your seat, and I'd like you to gently close your eyes. And I want you to call in your angels, guides, source, whatever you'd like to. I'm going to just say, angels, please join me. And I want you to notice, what sensations does your body experience? Do you feel a sensation? I feel a tingling. Do you feel a warmth and energy? Do you hear something? Do you get a vision? What other senses are activated when you call in your guidance? And I want you to just sit with that for a moment and allow whatever that sensation you're experiencing is to continue for just a moment. You can also take a nice deep breath in. That'll help you connect to your heart center. And if you're not feeling anything or you're not able to pinpoint it, don't worry about it. It will come to you. I'm just trying to make you conscious and aware of the sensation or to look for how it feels for you. So I'll give you another couple of seconds. Take another couple of deep breaths. Okay, and thank your guides, angels, creator, source, whatever it was for you that you called in. Thank them for coming to join you and giving you that experience. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and return to the space. If you want to throw in the chat what you experienced, I'm going to share what I experienced. And I didn't always notice this, but what I get this almost a full body tingle when I am enveloped in angel energy. And it just feels really magical to me. And if I'm, you know, having an issue with something, yep, tingly up and down your chakras, really cool. But when I'm having an ick time, just something's not going right and I call them in, I get that feeling and it's just like an ah. And Kelie said she saw colors, try to match what the archangels came, which archangels came to you. Awesome. Sam feels it in the top of their head. It's rolling really quick. Sorry about that. To start, and then you feel loved and notice you tend to smile a little. Exactly. Amber feels an expansion in her heart, throat, and her head. Tina is getting the itchy feeling all over. Tina, I'll bet that's really similar to what I get. We just have different ways of describing it. Yara gets heart expansion and feeling their love. Amazing. So, if you haven't noticed that before, I just want you to remember that. And I want you to call on that when you need it. It's really a powerful tool to get you out of anything that is not in a high vibrational state. So, allow yourself to experience that. It's just something I wanted to share. The next thing that we are going to do is I am very excited to share that I had a quantum healing session with a wonderful man in Wisconsin last week. I have suffered from sleep apnea since I was 5 or 6 years old. And sleep apnea is usually caused by, it's usually something that plagues older people as they get heavier in their older age, their neck circumference expands, and it's usually a challenge with just the way your throat settles when you're lying in certain positions. But I've had mine since I was 5 or 6 years old, and there was no logic to it. And back in the 70s, it wasn't a thing. So I never was diagnosed until 1999. And since 1999, I've been using a CPAP machine, which you have to tote with you everywhere. And it's just awful. So I really wanted to work on my sleep apnea. And Matt guided me through this quantum healing exercise before we even started our hypnosis session. And he's helped me recreate it so that I can share it with you guys. So, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on something in your body. It can be a condition like sleep apnea, or it could be an ailment, an injury, something that you would like to release and get in front of. Because I want you to remember that you have the ability to discover the root cause of any condition going on in your body. It can be something as small as tension and something as big as sleep apnea. So I want you to think about what it is you'd like to work on finding the root cause of and releasing. If you have your journal with you, you can write it down, whatever you'd like. So I just want you to focus on it. And then I'm going to guide you through this exercise. And this is, again, created for a group setting. If I were doing it one on one with you, I would have you respond back to me as in a hypnosis session, because that is what I do. But it works just as well if you have the dialogue. You can mute, you're muted, so you can have the dialogue out loud if you'd like to, or you can just have it in your mind, because mind to mind connection is all that you need for this. So, whatever you feel comfortable doing, all I ask is that you try it with an open mind and allow the experience to bring you whatever you need. So, now I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And I'm going to set the intention that all of you get exactly what you need. And I ask that you affirm that you can do either out loud or in your mind as well. So let's affirm our intention that we are going to get exactly what we need. Now, I want you to think about or bring to mind the condition you'd like to work on. Focus on the feeling or feelings that you get from this condition. I want you to actually allow yourself to experience the feelings or symptoms that you feel from this condition. I'm going to have you do that for just a few seconds. This is where you really get into the feeling. You're focusing on it, focusing on the condition, the symptoms, and what it actually makes you experience. So now you're going to acknowledge the effects and feelings of the condition, call them forward, and really connect to them now. As you connect to those feelings, I want you to collect the unconscious patterns tied to this. Simply set the intention to collect. There is no explanation required. Now, I want you to mentally scan your body now and just see where you're feeling that energy or those feelings. Where in your body are you noticing them? Now that you've taken note of them, I want you to ask, What is the feeling or emotion in that area? Think about how you would describe it. I want you to focus on anything that comes to mind. Just acknowledge and explore it. You will understand the story behind the condition you are exploring as these bits and pieces of information come to you. Just allow. Notice if you are getting information as to what caused this condition, the root cause of this condition. It may not appear as you expect, so allow the information to come to you however it comes and don't question it. Notice if you're being given what exactly happened or the origin of this condition. Again, don't set expectations, just allow the information to present itself to you however it comes, and accept the very first thing that is presented to you. Now explore it, however it presented itself to you. Talk to that aspect of the soul, your soul. As you know, this is all related to another aspect of your soul from another time, another place. Now is your opportunity to reconnect and communicate openly. As you explore, notice if there is a color affiliated with it, perhaps a shape. Notice any other information that you receive. Revisit the symptoms this condition causes you to feel. When you experience them, explore everything tied to the condition. Now I want you to connect with whatever you received. For instance, whatever you learned, allow it to speak to you and share with you what you need to receive. Know that whatever is the root cause of this condition, you are being made aware of what you need to know. Speak to the energy you are receiving and ask what you'd like to ask. Offer what you feel you need to offer. Allow the dialogue to continue. I want you to understand that the physical body is just an extension of the mind. This work creates the bridge between the two, allowing this work to take place. If you're seeing another person, perhaps someone that did harm in that lifetime, talk to them. If you noticed trapped energy, examine it and ask it, what is the root cause? Whatever the source of this condition will reveal itself to you. It just wants to be heard. You are now giving it permission to be in the fullest expression of your soul because it couldn't be done previously. You might even want to share a glimpse of your life as it is now, your role as a healer, and how your current words and your current voice is now helping people. Acknowledge the feelings that come up. Listen to what has to be said and answer appropriately. Allow the dialogue to take place. Allow whatever healing is able to take place. You are now in a position in a higher dimension to be able to communicate with this energy or this soul or whatever aspect you need to speak with, allowing them to experience the healing, the love, and the understanding that you're extending now. If they are stuck, you may call in the archangels to help them find their way. Do whatever you are called to do to help them release. Now I invite you to picture this life force, just letting that flow through your body, almost like rivers of light expanding through the body. I want you to breathe into the area of the condition or the energy, and I want you to ask it any last questions. Has it been there for a long time? What drew it to you? What is the history of it with you and your soul as you hear the story it wants to tell you? Now, I'd like to speak to your condition or energy. I'm Kelie Cichoski, and I'd like to let you know that you can become anything, or you can be free, independent yourself, no longer tied as you were before. If I told you that you could be freed, is that something that you would prefer? If so, I'm asking the light of God Source, Creator, to shine down on this energy that's trapped, helping it remember who it is, remembering that divine essence within it, turning the low vibrational energy into high vibrational energy and light as it attunes to this frequency. And at this time, I'd like to ask for assistance in guiding this energy, this soul, home in a mind to mind or soul to soul dialogue. And as we're removing that energy, we are simultaneously filling that space with light so that nothing else can slip in. It can be whatever color light you choose as you just feel the energy being set free. It no longer has to stay stuck. I now invite someone from the past to come forward that recognizes that energy to help guide it back home. Maybe a guide, an angel, or a loved one. But before it leaves, we'd like to know if it has any messages for you who has housed it for this lifetime before it leaves. Allow anything that you are receiving to be noticed. Give thanks and breathe back in the excitement, the joy, the expression to the space where the light now occupies. Now, take a deep breath and allow the feeling of release to engulf your entire body, healing the physical trauma of the condition or injury that you're clearing. Allow yourself to picture the healing light filling the space left vacant by the condition that has now been cleared. Breathe light, love, joy, excitement, or whatever expression was lost, surpassed, or shut down back into that space. Allow any last minute interaction to take place as needed before you gently open your eyes and return to the room when you're ready. Feel free to record anything you'd like. If you have your journal, you'd like to jot anything down, you will have the recording of this session to revisit, which I always suggest you do because this is similar to a hypnosis session that I would have with you. And listening to the session again will allow you to implant and imprint the healing work that you did into your memory and into your soul. And as you return, if there's anybody that would like to share, please feel free to step up. You may unmute or you may put it in the chat. But what you had done wasn't a very, wasn't to be taken lightly. This is a very powerful healing, whether you realize it or not. So I want you to embrace your feelings, do whatever feels comfortable for you. Sam says their gut issues came from taking on other people's pain and keeping it in their body. They had to let go of responsibility of that being their job and don't have to hold it. Oh, that's amazing. Wonderful, Sam. That's exactly what this is supposed to do. Just to kind of give you an example of what I experienced with the sleep apnea, we noticed that there was a dark energy ball or energy cyst in like where my Adam's apple is. And as I explored it, I noticed it was a dark gray or black color. And then as I spoke to it, I got two visions. I got one of me as a healer in the medieval time period. Think of the Knights of the Round Table. And I was a healer and an herbalist, but of course that was, like a witch back then. So I was shunned and everything else. So I was very fearful. And as I kept working on it and examining, I found another energy that was in there. It was like a law enforcement, like a sheriff type of a guy from that same medieval time. And he was the guy that was hunting me as the healer. So we were able to have a dialogue, and we literally got his soul to have his grandmother retrieve it and take him to the other side. He apologized for being stuck with me for so long, and the healer was actually integrated into my soul currently. So we are now one, and I am able to learn what she learned and use it in my work moving forward, which is amazing. And Sarah says that she had severe scoliosis, and at 75 it's getting harder, so hopefully you'll get some relief with that. That's a big burden to carry. And you had a memory that it was caused by abuse, which was new info for you. Absolutely. Trust what you received, because it can be a fleeting thought that you can brush off very easily, but that's the key to this to finding this root cause. And this is what I do in my hypnosis is you have to take that very first inkling, whatever it is, and run with it because that is what your soul is whispering to you. Yara says, not feeling safe in her body, multiple past lives, war, conflict experiences. Yes, needed a healing to feel safe in this lifetime. Wonderful, very powerful. So you can see that this was not a full hypnosis session. It was simply I don't like to call it visualization because some people have challenges when we ask them to visualize. So we just ask you to notice, experience, and allow yourself to receive whatever comes to you. So it's kind of like a deep meditation, but it was work in the quantum field. So I hope you all received some benefit from it and understood how you can use this. So Meg had hip dysplasia, severe pain due to shame you carry in a triangle shape. You did something or something was done to me. Wow. And like I said, if this could help me clear the sleep apnea, this can clear anything. So the sampling of what I do, I figured experience is a good teacher. So I wanted to share a little bit of how my work works, but this is a lighter form of it because it was in the group setting. If we were in a session, we would have the dialogue and we would talk to whatever showed up and we would have that question and answer session with it. Tina says, got in a sword fight, not sure what era was stabbed in the stomach. And when you were down, you got stomped about in legs and knees really bad. Well, hopefully you were able to release some of that because that's exactly the kind of past life stuff that can carry over as it was with my experience. And since you got such a vivid picture of the scene, you can continue to work on it, Tina. You can ask for the archangels to help the person you were fighting with and the person who stomped you, kind of a forgive and forget kind of a thing, release and allow yourself to heal from that because that's a big part of what the hypnosis does. So now I'm going to thank you all for participating and being wonderful participants and sharing your experiences. I'm going to figure out which desktop to share here. So now you're seeing my presentation. So Transform and Rise is a combination of it's multimodality healing. My little thing there. So as we go through our lives, we experience different things. A lot of it is gathering knowledge. I'm a person who loves to learn, so I'm always taking a course, reading a book, doing something. But the result of just gathering knowledge is, knowledge without behavioral change. So I've got all these amazing things that I can't, I'm not doing anything with. They're just sitting in my mind, taking up space, not doing anything. Where actual progress is transformation. A true change results in expanded awareness, consistent action, system rewiring, and behavioral change and an identity shift, which is absolutely magical. I have been blessed that throughout my spiritual awakening over the past 10-ish years, I have gone from like 0 to 60. I have been able to release stress, anger, frustration. I have a very carefree attitude, but not in a bad way. And it really helped me connect to my higher self. It helped me release a lot of the things that were holding me back, like, those bad relationships that we constantly relive because we can't get out of that pattern. So I was able to break a lot of that, which was really huge for me because information is not transformation and knowledge alone does not create change. So if we're looking back at my life, I did not know what I did not know. I grew up in Northeast Ohio in a very rural setting, and I had a sister that bullied the hell out of me. And my parents thought it was normal and they let it happen. It created an awareness in me that I didn't have anybody that was going to rescue me. So I had to become very independent, very young. And I'm talking 5, 6 years old. As I grew up, we, of course, did not know a whole lot about nutrition in the 70s, or not where I grew up anyway. And my body was so toxic that my organs were struggling. So I had painful menstruation cycles, like I'm talking crippling. Body odor was a huge challenge for me. I was always dehydrated because I didn't like to drink water. I would rather have vodka. And then my poor nutrition, which was basically going to the drive-through between my 3 or 4 jobs, picking up a hamburger or a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that. And my organs were undernourished. I ended up having a total hysterectomy at 39. My appendix burst at 42 as they cut me open, and it paralyzed my bowel for 8 days, causing me to miss my brother's wedding. Um, I had the kidney stones were repeating, and over about 3 years, I went to the hospital about 5 or 6 times. And one time I was taken by ambulance because it was so bad. And I didn't know. I didn't know I was toxic, and I didn't know how to detox my body. What I know now is that our female organs are one of our biggest detoxifiers. So when you have painful cycles, it's because you're toxic. So that was something to educate me. The kidneys, I wasn't flushing my body. I wasn't hydrating with water. So that was another big challenge for me. So now I know I'm a few organs lighter, but you have to understand that your whole mind, body, and spirit have to go together in order to become truly aligned, as Sam was talking about. So how protection becomes a trap. So I teach the release. This is called the RISE framework: release, illuminate, shift, and elevate. So part of the release phase of the healing that I teach is we are wired very early on. We all have our stories. I know Melanie had challenges with religion as she was younger, and different things go on. Um, but I learned childhood independence, and I learned that nobody was going to rescue me. So I had to take care of myself, which made me hate to ask for help. And to this day, I hate to ask for help. I would rather move my whole house of furniture alone than ask somebody to help me and risk them not showing up and disappointing me. So it's a big programming thing. And I'm still very self-reliant, but I am able to ask for help a little more easily now. But I was always the one that handled it. People gave tasks to me because I could do it. I was a super secretary in my clerical days because nothing went undone. I handled everything no matter what I had to do. That led to me going into a very unhealthy first marriage. I became addicted to cocaine. That was a 3-year struggle for me. And it got so bad that I was hiding my cocaine in the laundry room in the Tide box so that I was acting like I was doing laundry and going back there and grabbing some cocaine. It was a horrific time for me. My first husband was pushed to the brink, and he beat the hell out of me one night. And if anybody has experienced domestic violence, it's just an awful experience. And it still to this day is one of the worst nights of my life. Fortunately, because I'm very self-reliant, I was able to have my mind about me. And this is really strange, but I'll tell you anyway. I owned a nail salon, and I had the wherewithal to call my friend Jen and say, could you take care of my clients tomorrow? My husband beat the shit out of me, and he ran away to the bar. The police are here, and I have to find him and get him to jail Friday morning before first appearance, or he'll spend all weekend in jail. And that's how my brain worked, because I was this self-reliant person. So then after that relationship ended, I was done with Ohio. I also have to add that my guides guided me to stop using cocaine. I didn't have to go to rehab, thank goodness. I just one day heard the guidance, okay, you're done. And it was that strength that my guides gave me, even though I didn't know who they were at the time, that I was able to walk away from that horribly addictive drug. It's also happened that way with smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, and eating meat. So right now at my life at 58 years old, I'm pretty boring. I don't drink, I don't eat meat, I don't go out. I'm pretty quiet, but I'm healing. So that's the most important thing. But it's just the way my path is. When I moved to Florida in 1995, 2 weeks in, my roommate stole my car and wrecked it and almost killed somebody. I didn't know what to do because it was 1995 and I had a cell phone, but they were very expensive. So I didn't even know how to call a taxi because I'm from the country. So I had to figure out how to call a taxi out of the yellow pages. Then my roommate who wrecked my car was trying to get me to bail him out of jail. And I was dumb and I didn't understand what that meant. I had no idea what bailing someone out of jail meant. Thank God the state of Florida protects the stupid, and they won't let you bail anyone out of jail until you live here for at least 2 months. And I never qualified, so I couldn't, because it's a good thing because he jumped bail on we had a mafioso guy that lived downstairs below our apartment in a pizza joint, and he allowed his bail bondsman, who he had on retainer, to bail my roommate out, who skipped bail. So all kinds of stuff. Dated a jewel thief, had the FBI seize my ass. It's just a lot of really crazy stuff that you'd only see on TV, but it's a true story. It really happened, but it taught me a lot. Nothing happened to me. It happened for me. And although I was very independent and came out of all of these crazy situations okay, independence can look powerful, but sometimes it's just protection and you're in that survival mode. So I had to go through a lot of these repeating patterns until I finally got the message and was able to let it go and move forward. So you just never know. Like I said, you don't know what you don't know. We also have, excuse me, I'm clicking OK up here. I also want to educate you on how your intuition comes to be. Now, you probably all are familiar with and connect to your intuition at this point in your lives, but some people are kind of learning and they're just getting to a point where they're understanding how it works. So I want to share this story of a Dolores Cannon hypnosis session. Dolores Cannon did QHHT, which are 4 to 6 hour hypnosis sessions with in-depth interviews where you do that quantum healing that I just led you through in the session, as well as examine past lives. It's a very intensive full day of healing, and I do that as well. So this was something I learned in training, and I always like to share. So she had a client who was like a female executive, very, driven, very accomplished. She just was really high power executive, and she was a workaholic. She kept getting these gentle, intuitive nudges to slow down. And she heard them, but she ignored them. She just kept working and kept pushing herself. And she was actually on her way to having a heart attack, a very serious heart attack. And her guides knew this, and it wasn't supposed to happen to her. So they were trying to give her this guidance to slow down. And she was suffering chronic exhaustion, stagnation, and she just always had a sense that something was off. And then she got pushed down the steps by something. She didn't understand what it was, but she got pushed down the steps and it broke her leg. And she was in bed in the hospital for 8 weeks with this leg break. So she had her session with Dolores Cannon and said, "Why did this happen?" And they said, "We told you to slow down, but you wouldn't listen. And had you not slowed down, you would have had probably a fatal heart attack. So would you rather have a broken leg and be in the hospital for 8 weeks or be dead?" And it was a very big awakening for her, and she was able to refocus her life. But the universe is always talking to us. Our guides are always talking to us. It's a matter of if we're listening or not. And if we don't listen, they will yell louder and louder and louder until they have to take action. Something this extreme hopefully wouldn't happen, but this is how it goes. The ego is a part of our incarnate life. It is attached to our high density physical body. When we are in energy state or dead, for lack of better terms, we don't have an ego. The ego is an earth thing. So what we have to understand is the ego's job is to protect us. And it will do whatever it has to do to protect us. You also have to remember that childhood conditioning plays into a lot of this. So as we change, grow, and learn, we don't need the ego to protect us as much. So the ego will kind of flare up and take a stand because it's got to do its job. It's just doing its job. It's not a bad thing. But what we have to understand is as we connect to our divine source and as we allow ourselves to surrender control and allow the universe to guide us, the ego gently fades into the background. It'll never disappear until you die because, again, it's part of your incarnate body, but it will fade into the background. If some of you noticed during that quantum healing I was taking you through, your conscious mind may have been chattering and saying, "Oh, this doesn't work, this is stupid, whatever." That is what the ego is doing. It is resisting that change that you were seeking to have with this healing, and it's kind of mouthing off. So embrace it, understand it, and accept it. And as you allow yourself to divinely connect and release that human control that we all think we have to have, you'll notice your ego will kind of stay in check more. My ego is not a problem. I do not worry about people. I have no jealousy. I have no anger, frustration. I just understand that everything happens for a reason and that people are the way they are because they're on their own unique path. It's not for me to judge them. It's not for them to judge me. I respect where they are and I will offer a hand, but I can't make them move quickly or slowly over their path. That's their job. That's their experience to have. It's not for me to say. So I can honestly say, I can look at people with a non-judgment and say, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I wish you well. And if there's anything I can do to help, I am here. So we have fear and we have love. Love and fear are the two emotions that are the most main, strongest emotions that exist in our three-dimensional world, which is where we all are now. As we elevate ourselves into the fourth and fifth dimension, which is that spiritual connection that we're all seeking, we understand that where there is love, there can be no fear. Where there is fear, there can be no love. So what we have to learn is that fear, living in a fear mindset, would be like believing I have to stay at this horrible job because it's a paycheck and I have to pay my bills. I was there and I did not listen when spirit told me to leave, and it cost me a lot of stuff. But seeing unexpected options as problems, trying to control exactly how the provision arrives. When we're the old story about the guy who's standing on the roof of his house and everything's flooding and he says, God, send me help. And then a boat shows up and the guy's like, would you like to get in the boat? And he said, no, God's going to take care of me. So you can go on. And that happens 3 times. And then he dies and he goes and he talks to God. And God said, why didn't you get in the boat? So, that kind of story. The flow and allowing portion is trusting that the universe will put you in the right place at the right time to improve your situation. And had the guy in the boat listened to that, he would have got in the boat. Recognizing, I have a client who, she was on a disability as a firefighter, and she wasn't able to work. So she was just on this disability, which was a greatly reduced amount of pay. She was a single mom with 3 kids. So she knew that she had to do something to improve her situation. So she worked on her body and was able to get off that disability. And she was able to get hired as a firefighter again, which was exactly what she needed because she's very young, very healthy. She had a spiritual awakening that led to a symptom that she incurred. So she knew it was over. And she was almost through her savings. And she came to me and she said, I have to just take a 0 interest balance transfer on my credit card for $10,000. I hate creating debt. And I said, you can't look at it like debt. It's a gift from the universe. You were given $10,000 for an extended amount of time for a single fee of like 3% transaction fee to hold you over until you got your paychecks from your job. So just giving her that perspective shift allowed her whole energy to change, and it allowed her to feel empowered instead of indebted. And it was a really big shift for her. And that was the beginning of, this beautiful journey that she has started. And she's doing very well today. And then we always have to trust that what brings joy will bring support, because we are put on this earth to experience joy and to live in a high vibration. And when we leave that high vibration and we go into depression or sadness or anger, we notice that disease happens. Different, like depression is a disease. People go into alcoholism or drug abuse, as I did, because I didn't trust in anything. I was just trying to numb the pain and survive. And I was in a very, very low vibration for many, many years. So now that I understand, as I look back and see what I learned from all these lessons, I understand what I did wrong. I know how to not have that happen again. And I know how to share that experience with people so that they don't have it happen to them either. And provision doesn't always arrive as the final solution. Sometimes it's just a bridge, and that's all we need for right now. So I kind of skipped around a little bit, and I apologize, but I think we all have a basic understanding of the cosmic curriculum. We receive a body, We are blessed to receive the incarnate body that we are in at this time, because the way the world is shifting in energy and all of these great things are happening, although you may not think it, but that'll show you the difference in perspective. I don't watch the news. I don't care about politics. I send compassion to those affected by bad things. I have a place in my heart for them, but I don't live their lesson because it's not my lesson. So by me removing myself from their experience and allowing and respecting their position to have it, but sending them love and blessings, it keeps me in a higher vibrational state. It doesn't mean I don't, my heart doesn't break for them, but I'm not going to enter something that I'm not meant to enter. I do what I can to help. I send the love and compassion I can, and I work on my path. Let them work on their path. Earth is a classroom. Every person and experience is part of the curriculum. I once had a client who her heart was broken because she lived across from a cow farm, and the mother cow had a baby. She died in the birth of the baby, and she had to watch the farmer drag the dead mama cow out of the field, and it broke her heart. She came to me because this really bothered her. In her hypnosis session, she was able to see that that cow chose that life and that experience. And once she was able to accept that, because it never occurred to her that the cow had a choice, she was able to free herself of that horrible sadness. And she was able to live in peace in this beautiful country farm that she had without being affected by the cow dying, which sounds crazy, but it meant the world to her. And it really freed her. So we have to have that respect for everybody's lessons and where they are on their path, and understand that that's part of the lesson that they chose. That's part of the lesson that the cow chose. So once we can learn it, we can move forward and go on to the next lesson. Nothing is random. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes aren't failure, they're learning. We always learn from our mistakes. And I will also tell you that a lot of the old sayings, like stuff from "you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink," to, experience is the best teacher, they did not come out of nowhere. They came from experience and wisdom, and we should embrace them and understand them, because wherever they were created, how many hundreds of years ago, they still play a part in our lives today. Lessons repeat. Like the lady who was pushed down the stairs. She wasn't listening. She kept ignoring her lesson. She kept ignoring her nudges, and she had to finally get pushed down the stairs to get that lesson right. This often can be tied to bad relationships. If you are a person who has a certain type of behavior ingrained in you from childhood, such as I did, I was always looking for love. I was willing to settle for any man that I felt would love me. And I was never happy. And I tried every strategy that any woman could try. I went for the less popular guy, to this guy, to that guy, and I just never found what I was looking for, because I couldn't love myself. And I couldn't expect them to love me if I couldn't love myself. So my lessons kept repeating until I finally found my wonderful husband of 20 years, and poof, lesson learned, thank goodness. People are mirrors. They reflect your strengths and the places that still require healing. And this is huge. If you meet someone and they irritate you, pay attention. What I have found is when I meet someone that irritates me, I will usually become very good friends with them, because they're very similar in thought pattern to me, and I'm just resisting that similarity to myself. So something to pay attention to, and I'm going to be respectful of your time, so we'll speed this up. So the architecture of alignment, again, release, illuminate, shift, and elevate. And my little thing froze. So transform and rise, I offer hypnosis. I do 1-hour sessions, 2-hour sessions, or the equivalent of the QHHT sessions in person, or I do transform hypnosis sessions virtually. They are a combination of my different modalities, the angel healing I learned from Amber, and my channeled intuition, and transform hypnosis and quantum healing. I also do readings and channeling. I am a trance channel. I channeled the Andromedans today, and I usually channel the mantid beings. I also get guidance from my guides. One of them is a guy named Matu, who comes through a lot. So I receive guidance and insight from higher perspectives. I can do a reading type session with you, or I can do a channeling session where my channel comes through and you speak to them and ask them questions. And I also offer a group learning experience called the Rise Experience, which is an 8-week container where we do kind of what we did here today, but it's more interactive. I do group hypnosis in it. I explore how to, clean the vessel, which is your body, and how to get connected, and all of the things that help us elevate our consciousness. I do offer 20-minute clarity calls for free, so you can find that on my website. And my freebie is an affirmation deck that Amber is sharing in the chat right now. So it's a PDF document. You'll cut up the little cards, and they mirror Francis Scoville Shin's affirmations. You repeat them a couple of times a day, and it gives you this positive state. It helps you grow. And they're really great tools. I use them every day, and I've never had anyone not use them that didn't say, like, wow, this is really suitable for me. So they're kind of like little oracle cards. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. In addition, if you sign up for my mailing list through the summit, and even if you're on my mailing list, you can do it again, because you're going to be tagged as an attendee to Amber's Summit. And in a couple of days, you will get another email from me that will include a coupon code for 50% off any of my work. It will be valid for only 48 hours. So make sure that if that interests you, that you sign up for the email list and grab the freebie, and then watch for that email to come to you in a few days after this, because that coupon code will be in there, and it will be for 48 hours. And oops, my screen just disappeared. I'm trying to deal with my mouse, excuse me. I do have one more thing I would like to share with you. In closing, the lessons I share come with stories. Some are mine, others are not, but nonetheless, they are important to share to help you find your own purpose. Before I go, I would like to share my daily meditation from this 365 Tao book, because it really spoke to me today, and I think it will mean something to all of you. It's called Farewell. So it said, we part at the crossroads. You leave with your joys and problems, I with mine. Alone, I look down the road. Each one must walk one's own path. People's paths come together all too briefly when sharing friendship, but that makes those times no less valuable. We must take advantage of support and sharing in a mutually beneficial way. Wherever we take from one another, whenever we take from one another, we should try to give back something. That is fundamental. No one should lean on another person or expect another to carry them a long distance down the road. Friends should walk side by side for as long as the journey carries them, without becoming dependent on one another. There should be no obligation. If I can help someone do something, then I should do so without any hesitation or expectation of reward or debt. If there is something that I need to learn and my companion can show it to me, then I should accept it in humility. No one owns knowledge. It should be freely shared. Parting is inherent in all meeting. Nothing lasts forever. Transience is what gives life poignancy. Every person is responsible for himself or herself. There is no road to walk but your own. I thank you so much for your time and your cooperation. Please return tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have Barbara Strazlakovska with Return to Your Radiant Blueprint. And then at 7 p.m. Central, we have Matt Hankerson with the Aligned Brand Mood Board, Giving Form to Your Sacred Work. I have worked with both of these amazing people, as I have with everybody in the summit, and they're all wonderful. Thank you so much again for spending your evening with us, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. Have a great evening, everybody.